Welcome back to another edition of Book of Jake. My name is Jake Abdullah. As usual, this is a sort of podcast where we deep dive into interesting people, famous Malaysians, not so famous Malaysians, and people who are making a dent in the industry. Today we have with us Reuben Kang, whom I know for quite a bit more because he's a Liverpool fan.
That's right.
Reuben Kang, who's set his own journey in digital creation and has become a YouTuber and also several failed F&B businesses, which we'll
Yes.
get into. And so welcome, Reuben. Thank you for getting into the show.
Honored to be here.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. Who is Reuben Kang?
Essentially, I think if I have to label myself, I'm essentially a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I am known for and what I enjoy doing. So I make films.
Mm.
Yes.
So when did this interest start?
I think it's very coincidental. I think growing up in schools, I was one of those who couldn't exactly pay attention in class. So I'll always be drawing on my buku latihan, drawing comic books. But then I think when I reached high school, I was confused of I don't know what to do with my future. You know, those were the days before the internet. So I couldn't research of what I wanted to do. I had a friend who was sitting at the back of me in class. His father owned a production house. So he was telling his friends about what his father was doing. And I was like, got my interest. And then I asked him, can I intern for your father at 16 years old?
That was interesting.
So I got into the industry I was a production assistant, making coffee, following the director wherever he went.
Best way to learn, actually.
Yeah. And that way I observed so many film directors, in the early 2000s where people were still filming back with film cameras. Foreign directors were coming to Malaysia. So that's where I first got exposed to the industry at the age of 16. Then consequently, I've dabbled too in theatre, did documentaries, TV dramas, finally landing in advertising in a multinational agency called J. Walter Thompson. And then I met a friend who wanted to do YouTube content.
I know, I hired him as DJ, JinnyBoy.
Yes.
After your Form 5, what did you study?
I studied broadcast, minored in advertising. So advertising was always the thing that I enjoyed. Yeah, so I studied broadcast, but didn't really study much lah. So I actually learned more during my internship, my freelance days.
So can I ask a question? You said something very interesting just now. You said that, you were 16 and you sort of like didn't know what to do. You were in class, you were drawing and all that. Do you think that our education system actually helps creatives?
Truth be told, no.
No.
It was never encouraged. In fact, it was something that was frowned upon. Like I was that kid who was not good at studies. So, I've always felt like I wasn't good enough. But inside, I kind of knew that I had something.
Something we just couldn't put your finger to it, right?
Yeah.
The same. I had the same feeling. I just felt like, you know what? I was a class clown. I used to make everybody laugh. I used to like music and tapi awak tak pandai.
We were the weird ones, right?
Yeah. So that's really interesting. So you attended Lim Kok Wing University, right?
Yes, I did.
And received the President's Award of Excellence. So that time, how do you change your approach of thinking? Suddenly you were like, were you more sort of organized?
Back in high school, I felt like a failure. In college, I was the smartest kid in class.
Why was that?
You can't expect an elephant to climb a tree lah. So I was a monkey. So I could climb a tree. In Lim Kok Wing, I was in the right place. Yeah, I was interested in learning suddenly. I never read books back in school, but in college, I loved reading. I read so many books about different filmmakers and behind the scenes stories. I got interested in learning suddenly because of the subject lah. In school, high school, mathematics just didn't clicked. But in college, it clicked.
At any point during that time, did you consider yourself a failure?
As in high school lah. Yeah. I think my own mother would say like, focus on your studies.
What are you doing? Study lah. Typical. I know. Yeah. So talk to us about JinnyboyTV and how did that come along? I know JinnyBoy was like, he was playing in this band called Vespertine lah, and then his uncle called me and said, "Hey Jake, you gotta help out this boy lah. Can he do a radio show?" So actually, I should take credit for this, So I got in there and he came for an audition. I remember, and Jin that time. I asked him to do a line and he went, yeah, hi, HFM, hi, it's Jinny. I said, dude, where are you from?
Subang boy, bro.
Yeah. So tell us about Jinny Boy and
I think
how successful you guys got with JinnyboyTV.
No, until today, I'm still in disbelief of that journey that went through from 2012 till 2018, like that. It was all coincidental. Again, friend of a friend introduced.
Do you actually believe in coincidence?
I believe in luck is opportunity meeting being ready.
Okay.
I met Jin and he was like, hey, I want to do some YouTube videos. And at that time, I was already doing broadcasts. I felt like YouTube was just YouTube lah. So I never really believed in it, truth be told. But what I liked about it was I got to do my own thing. So especially when I was in the advertising agency, I wasn't very hands-on anymore. I was just doing a lot of paperwork. And I wanted to get my hands dirty again, holding the camera, writing my own stuff. That was what intrigued me lah. So that's what me and Jin did. We wrote stories that you would not see on TV. You know, the way how Malaysians would just naturally talk using words like Abu Dan, talking about stories of my childhood in My Generasi, that video, doing parody videos that was not commonly seen on television. So that was our outlet.
But did you all even imagine that phenomenal success?
No, we didn't even, for me, like at least, I didn't really care where this went. I just wanted to do something. I still kept my day job. But because of the success that we didn't know it would, you know, where it got, then more and more job opportunities started coming. And it's not that I wanted to do it full time. I was given an ultimatum by my company. You're doing something that's conflict of interest.
Of course.
Because we were working with brands and you're in an ad agency. So I was kind of told to leave, took that leap of faith by force, and
no regrets.
No regrets. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for that.
Why the departure? You were there for 7 years, right?
Yes.
So why the departure from JinnyboyTV when you guys were peaking and there was...
Going to the whole 2018 period, we were, like you said, going up. We were making a lot of YouTube videos. A lot of brands were working with us. We were getting a lot of views. But we were always hungrier for more. As a filmmaker, my ultimate goal was to make movies. So we produced our first film, feature film. Then we did our web series and we felt like we were on the right track. That's where I personally wanted to go, and together with the team as well, the boys that I brought up together with me. But I think Jin had a different thought of it. So it was a very difference of opinions in that sense. And we felt maybe it's time we part ways lah. And no regrets, and still very thankful for the opportunity I had with YouTube. I won't look back in regret, but I would look back in that appreciation of the people I've met along the way. If it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't have met you as well.
Did it feel like a breakup?
It did, to be honest. It was actually at a point where I was about to get married. So, and it was scary because, like, my wife was like, you're leaving, what you're known for.
Bread and butter,
and you want to start from zero again. That's new. At a point where I'm about to start my life with my wife. So during my wedding day, I think I was tearing up quite a bit because I was looking down to majority of the people I invited that day. They were all people we met along the way on YouTube. And it felt like it was a goodbye because I know I won't want to be out there so much anymore. I wouldn't want to put my face on social media as much anymore. And I know that's where we would be separated. So it was sad. It was sad. I still look back and reminisce the good times.
I do agree. Is there any way that you'd probably come back for one project or stuff like you and Jinny?
Don't know lah. Don't know lah.
Like, you're still good mates? Okay, you paused.
No, truth be told, we've not spoken since we've parted ways. We've met here and there at events and whatnot, but we've not spoken ever since.
So it seems like there was a hard breakup,
Mutual, but still something that we both didn't want. I
guess growth is such, we have to make those decisions to move. You got into F&B. And I was fascinated with this because of the name of the restaurant. It was called Morningwood. Now, producers, go and Google Morningwood because I'm not going to explain it. Tell me about this restaurant.
It was just something that we enjoyed because it was the hype of the whole cafe industry in Malaysia. I'm personally a heavy coffee addict. So I really like my coffee, and when the opportunity came, there was this guy who was selling his whole cafe, lock, stock, barrel. Me and a couple of friends, we felt like, hey, let's
no experience, just jumped
zero. But we had to learn along the way. I was still doing dishes. I myself was learning how to make coffee, learning how to source for suppliers.
You can do all that latte thing and all that.
Back then. Now, F&B is a very full-time thing. You have to be there 24/7. It was very difficult for me. At that point, I was juggling lecturing, running the YouTube channel and the cafe. I couldn't split myself.
You're lecturing, right?
I was lecturing at IACT for 2 years plus.
After leaving JinnyboyTV, you started your own production company, Imagineers Film, right?
Correct.
Tell me about that.
So we started Imagineers Film, wanting to do the Thai ads.
I love those Thai. Yeah. But in a full movie, yeah?
Correct. It's like a short film that breaks through the barrier of language or time.
Yeah,
it's timeless.
It's like one of those. What's that movie that famous? I can't remember.
The cheat in exam.
Yeah.
Bad Genius. So I've always been inspired by the Thais, and I wanted to do that in Malaysia, particularly in the festive film scene, because it's a uniquely Malaysian thing. We love our festive ads, and that was where I felt that's where I can marry both my storytelling expertise and my brand expertise, marketing expertise, and put them together. So that's why we started Imagineers Film. Our very first few clients were Taylor's University, where we were brave together with them. They were very brave about it, and let's tell stories that would spark conversations. That was our goal. We choose an alternative route where most production houses would work with ad agencies. So the agencies would ideate and then the production house produce. But we are the rare few that actually ideates the idea and then produce our own.
So you worked as an ad company yourself?
Correct. But mainly, we're working towards more now, bigger campaigns, but we mainly started doing just the festive film niche.
Have you done a full feature film?
Yes, we have. By My Side, with Media Prima. It was released nationwide. Yes.
And how successful was it?
There's no official data out there of how much it made, but internally, if I remember correctly, they said that it was the most successful English Malaysian film at that point. But having said so, the benchmark was very low for English Malaysian film. There weren't many.
Do you think you'll produce a Malay film, a Malaysian film that resonates with Malaysians and we all can get it no matter what ethnicity we are? And is there plans for that?
That's the goal. That's always been something that I've advocate for, especially doing festive ads. I've got to learn about the Malay culture or the Indian culture when it comes to Deepavali or Hari Raya. And that goal has always been about not just making a film specifically for that target audience, but to all Malaysians. And I believe it can. Human language, human nature is a language that everybody understands. And that's where we focus on. A story of a mother sacrificing for a child can cross between any language. And that's the kind of stories that we want to tell.
So yeah, I do agree with you. I think storytelling is it's a lost art, which is an art has been here from Adam. So like I give people the example. I lecture a lot also on this, and I tell people that Akka Nasi Lemak was sitting in Seremban. Suddenly everybody knew who she was.
Correct.
And she was speaking in Tamil, and it made people understood. So I say, Akka Nasi Lemak, yeah, she's selling. So that's what I'm trying to say. Is I believe that there is a space for realism in Malaysian film industry, rather than we keep doing horror ghost comedy and about pilots and you know what I mean. I just feel that, and I've seen that Indian industry also tackles social issues.
Yes.
Although Malaysian filmmakers are pushing it because of they feel that there is no value. What about that genre? I see so much Indian movies coming out, cutting across, and there's a lot of tackling social issues.
Exactly. One of my biggest Malaysian favorite films is Jagat.
Yeah, oh, fantastic. Yeah.
I loved it so much that I have worked with 3 of the actors. I knew I had to reach out to them because they were amazing people. So yeah, and it's very sad to see when those films don't do well in the box office. I don't know whether it's marketing, whether it's the Malaysian audience who prefers, films that they don't need to think so much. I don't know.
He's very, very mildly saying, hey, brother, pandai lah sikit. I know this, which is true. And I also asked this question and said, I'm sure we are more intelligent than this. I think that we are swayed with the majority. You know what I mean? Where people flow, they flow. So, like, classic example is I don't watch any Dwayne Johnson movies after Gridiron and Gridiron Gang and stuff like, because it's terrible.
He's sellout.
It's terrible. But so he promotes it in China. What is the future for Imagineer Films? I
think the festive film route is a very good starting point for us. We're learning a lot more about our audience, the Malaysian audience. We know they love films like that. To be able to translate that into a feature film, that's the goal. How do we make it a bit more appealing and marketable? That's the goal. Making a human story that would appeal to all Malaysians and hopefully the world. And to tell Malaysian stories and to let the world know that we are just like you. We go through the same hardship as what you go through. We stand for the same social issues that you stand for. That's the goal.
What about Netflix and Amazon Prime and all that?
So it still has to have some credibility before they buy your content. So I think the first hurdle here would be to
I've
be
seen
able
some
getting
pretty,
funding.
pardon my French, shitty Malaysian movies on Netflix. So I guess the bar is quite low, right?
They've got good executive producers.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
see how nice his boy is.
Positive.
Yeah. So because that's, to me, it will be the ideal game. I watched one movie yesterday, and I watched one movie a day just to catch up on social issues. And this Indian and even Indonesian and Thai movies are just amazing.
Yes.
And I noticed that their production is not all flash, but the storyline captivates them.
Correct.
There's so many Malaysian stories that has not been untold. So if you had a chance to retell a Malaysian story, what would it be? I'm sure it crossed your mind.
Wow. Before this podcast, I was just watching more podcasts. I think the interview that you did with Pat Neil. If someone were to make a movie about Pat Neil.
It is coming, actually. I can speak to him for you, yeah. Pat Neil is probably the most, I would call him the person who can reinvent keep reinventing himself over and over and over again, and
he's relentless, that perseverance. And I really appreciate the human element that he carries. He's raw, he's real. Every emotion that he feels inside, it's always out there. it's never really.
And he works
in there.
hard, no, Reuben. He works super hard. Neil is there 10 minutes before everybody. His attention to detail is second to none. And we get along because of this. And I've dealt with him for years. And it's brilliant. Yeah, partly will be a really interesting project to work with. So tell me about your marriage and your kid. And I know you have one, right? Who's growing up really fast. What's his name?
His name is Jordan, after Jordan Henderson.
Of course. Not Jordan Pickford.
No, definitely not. Yeah. So my wife Kelly and I, when we had our kid, it was between Muhammad Salah or Jordan Henderson, the name. So she picked Jordan.
It would have been killer if it was called Muhammad Salah.
Muhammad Salah Kang. So he's brilliant. I mean, 4 years old. I'm trying to expose him to football as much as I can. He's a boy. Loves his trucks. Loves his construction vehicles and cars. So I'm not much of a car guy, but I've been going to like auto shows because of him. I enjoy being a father, bringing him and exposing him to the world.
It's great. Plans of having another one?
A lot of people like to ask me that, but I feel like running a business, I already have like a lot of kids. I have to take care of a lot of people, and I think that
not the same line when they got chicken pox, you don't have to go. Truth, man.
Yeah.
I got 5, man. I know, man.
Yeah. No, but me and my wife, we've always had this whole one-child policy because I felt like being a middle child growing up, attention like to the eldest and the youngest, middle child always like, black sheep of the family. So I've always felt like I want to give this kid 100% attention.
Yeah, because I can see how genuine you are and happy you are of being a father, and you're really excited about it, and you know there's so much joy when you talk about it, which is great, and I do believe that people are holding back and waiting for later in life to have a kid and stuff. So it's great. You're 37, your son's 4, so by 33 you had a kid, which is brilliant. I think it's brilliant. So before we close, there's a couple of questions on advice for people who want to get into YouTube or filmmaking, or people who are new in the industry, and how do you actually go about this?
Wow.
I mean, this will work for me also because, I shoot in my phone most of the times and edit on CapCut and stuff like that, but I tell a good story. So,
I think it's very different for kids these days with the internet and how everything else is so accessible, like phone cameras. Growing up, cameras were expensive. Knowing what kind of production houses out there, I wouldn't have known anything. But I think one saying that I've kept dearly, and I felt like growing up, that was what I've always believed. Don't be a noun, be a verb. So meaning, don't just label yourself, I want to be an actor, I want to be a director. Act or direct. Actually do it. I've never had the ambition of where I wanted to be today growing up. I just wanted to make films. So I jumped from jobs to jobs, productions to productions. I just wanted to make films. I just wanted to be part of the process. And when opportunity comes, which it will, you'll be prepared.
You said something in the beginning, and I don't mean any negative vibes with this. Do you feel the imposter syndrome has left you? Because I felt like an imposter back in the day, and finally, I'm sure you feel that you have arrived. Do you feel it has left?
I still feel that. I still feel that. I think in even till today, when I'm going for pitches, when I'm up against bigger agencies, I will always admire people's work, and maybe it's a strength or weaknesses, but I'm always a fan of the work.
Oh, you're genuine. That's good.
So I would never feel like I'm ready.
I'm
like
the man. I'm better than everybody else.
Because I'll always be like, wow, that guy's so much better than me. Wow, this guy, I can't believe he did that. Oh, he's only 20 years old and he's already producing that. I would always feel that way.
Most people who appear on my podcast, I realize that they come from really tough backgrounds and in various aspects, can be socially, can be financially, can be emotionally. So I can understand that. And even like me, I come from a very tough background, and all the time I felt that I was imposter syndrome. You know what I mean? I'm not good enough. I shouldn't be here. I speak down to myself. And I ask people, this is really interesting, the answers that I get. Professor Ham sent me about some talk that you're doing.
Correct. I'm so honored, and exactly that. I feel like an imposter on that stage with the rest of the very celebrated creatives in Malaysia. So on the 6th of December, I'll be sharing the stage with big names of the industry, sharing about my journey with Imagineers Film and the work that we've produced. So yeah, I grew up reading his magazines and like, wow, now I'm going to be invited to...
That's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever think this all will happen?
No. Until to get the text from you yesterday and say that, hey, want to be on my podcast also? I'm
no, I've always thought you were very talented, and I'm a person who calls a spade, and I won't lie about it. And I always... This podcast is about interesting Malaysians. It's not whether you're famous, not famous, or what. To me, it's like people who have, I think you've done something that is, I can learn from and somebody can learn from. I'm going to project it. I've also been a fan of your work. So,
Thank you.
Yeah. So really interested to see how you're going to take this forward, and waiting to see if I can become an extra in one of your movies.
Extra?
Hey, I'm casted for a movie, which I won't talk about. It's next year. I'm serious. It's a Malay movie. And I've never acted in my life before. I can't talk about this, but I'm going to do it. So I'd like to be an extra in your movie. So
you'll be the main guy for my movie. If you can afford, you can afford.
Okay, I'm cheap. So any parting words for people who want to follow Reuben and where to look for you?
So I think the whole YouTube days are over. I'm not trying to put myself out there in that sense, but do support the work that we produce. Follow our company's channel at Imagineers Film on all the socials that you can find. We're trying to be more active on LinkedIn right now.
Please. I think you guys should do that, because LinkedIn to me right now is the social. Yeah.
Correct. And that's the right target audience I'm trying to reach out to. So marketeers out there, or just general viewers, if you like our work, please share it. All our works are on our YouTube channel at Imagineers Film. Look out for our YouTube channel. Yeah,
so I would definitely advocate that if you're one of those big Petronas or TNB or what and all that. If you want to try somebody who understands the pulse of Malaysia and wants to, really understands Malaysians, give my friend a call. Probably I'll get a free lunch, not from Morningwood Café. Anyway, thanks for being on the podcast. Guys, if you like this, please like, share, and also follow my friend here. I'll catch you on the next episode. Take care.